It is my pleasure to introduce the speaker for the 51st Youth Motivation Task Force Program. Dr. George C. Fraser is Chairman and CEO of Fraser Incorporated, a company he founded 36 years ago to lead a global networking and economic development movement for people of African descent. He spent 20 years in leadership positions with Procter & Gamble, United Way, and Ford Motor Company before starting his own business, Fraser Net Incorporated, in 1987. Dr. Fraser is most proud of the two charter schools he helped found in Cleveland, Ohio nearly 15 years ago, which educate nearly 300 inner-city black children, of which 60% are boys. He has insisted for 40 years that there be no sizzle reel of his life's work and purpose until there is something to quantify and sizzle about. He was born in 1945 in Brooklyn, New York, to a troubled family of 11 children. Due to mental health issues with his mom, when he was only 2 years old, he and six of his siblings were orphaned, then put into toxic foster homes for a total of 16 years. He was not considered college material, so he was sent to a vocational high school and got a diploma in carpentry. And the rest is history. Dr. Fraser has always believed it is not how you start, it's how you finish, that God has great plans for each of us. We must simply listen for his voice, follow directions, overcome the obstacles, and stay the course. Dr. Fraser's favorite line from super rapper Drake is, "Started from the bottom, and now we're here." Please direct your attention to the video screen, where you will see 77 years of his life in 120 seconds. Thank you.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Good morning.
You know why we say good morning? Someone get this for me. You know why we say good morning? Because we got up. We're alive. It's the same reason we say good afternoon. We're still alive. And the same reason we say good night. We go to bed alive. Hoping that in the morning, we will be able to get up in the morning and say what? Good morning. And the cycle begins. Today I'm going to have a very frank discussion with you. I'm going to speak out of my own life. 77 years of living, being married to the same system for 50 years. That's 50. What is the key to greatness? What is the key to self-esteem? What is the key to getting honors and trophies? What is the key to receiving great respect, brothers and sisters? What is the key to wealth and abundance? What is the key to all of that? And what is the key to an extraordinary life? The answer is very simple, and that is to find a way to serve many people. That is the purpose of life. The purpose of life is very simple because God doesn't make anything complicated. We tend to make things complicated. We make things complicated so that we don't have to do it. The more complicated we can make something, the more reasons we have for not doing it. And we make things complicated to control power. So if I have more information than you on something, I'm in control of the information that you get. I have power over you. What am I saying? I'm saying find a way to start rendering service. And the more people you serve, the bigger your fortune is, your moral and spiritual fortune and your financial fortune. Service is the key to greatness. Again, the purpose of life, very simple. To love, to give, to serve, and to add the highest value to somebody or something every minute of every day. That is the purpose of life. That is, in fact, your responsibility. People do not decide their futures. They decide their habits. And their habits decide their future. You need to take inventory of your habits. Do you have a habit of reading, which is connected to lifelong learning, personal growth and development, constant, never-ending improvement? Is that a habit? Do you have a habit of monitoring the relationships that intersect into your life? It is called the proximity theory. You will ultimately become who you are in the proximity of the people that you select to intersect in your life over time. We'll talk more about that later. Do you have it? Do you have a habit of work ethic? It is intentional. Work ethic. You know what I do every single day and have been doing every single day? It's a habit. I cannot do it. I cannot start the day without doing it. Every single day. I make up my bed. That's how I start my day. I jump out of the bed and I immediately make it up. It's a habit. Even when I'm in a hotel, they make up the bed for you. No, I make up my bed. That triggers the rest of my good habits and starts my day. Do you have a habit of communication mastery? Can you speak? Can you write? You are going to be leaders. You are leaders now. No effective leader that I have ever met has not developed communication mastery. Speaking, writing. This is hugely influential. I have a habit of thinking positive. Thinking positive. Even with the bad stuff that happens to me in life, I think positive about it. What am I thinking about? What lesson did I learn? Every obstacle is a lesson. This is how God has designed the system. I'll unpack that in a few minutes. Faith. Do you worship a God? Do you believe that there's something more powerful than you? When we say good morning, we are really thanking a God. Thank you for allowing me to get up. I have a habit of self-control. Now, this is the most difficult of my habits. Controlling how I respond to you. Understanding that words are powerful. We have started wars with words. We have ended wars with words. When you understand how powerful words are, you will be careful of the words that come out of your mouth. Right. It is connected to thinking. Do you know that we have more conversation with ourselves in our lives than all of the people that we actually speak to? That we are talking to ourselves continually, even in our dreams. What is that? That is programming. We are programming our behavior. We are full of self-talk. When you understand how important thinking is, you will be careful of what you think. Thomas Aquinas in 1265 said something profoundly beautiful. He said, too many of us worship false idols. What are the false idols, Dr. Fraser? Money, power, pleasure, and honor. What do we look for in honor? We look for prestige. Those are false idols. They will not give you long-term and true happiness. I have money. Lots of it. I'm not bragging, I'm just saying that is not where I get my happiness from. What are the real idols? Faith. Whatever God you worship, whether it is the philosophy of Jesus Christ or it doesn't matter. Do you have faith? Family. You want a holistic life? You want a 360-degree life? Do not ignore your family, your partner, or your children, or you will have hell to pay. Yes. A real idol? Friendship. Relationships. Introduce me to your 5 closest friends, and that will tell me who you are. As they know, and as they go, so go you. What is a real idol? Work. God has put each of us here with a unique purpose in mind. There's a job that He's assigned only you to do, and if you do not do it, it will not get done in the universe. And we are dependent upon you finding out why God put you here and to fulfill your assignment. That requires work. That's why work ethic and honoring work. I don't care what it is that you're doing. You do it to the best of your ability. No one thought I was college material, so I went to a vocational high school. They sent me to a vocational high school. Got a diploma in carpentry in Brooklyn, New York. Couldn't get a job in carpentry back in the day because the Italians at that time controlled the carpentry union. So the only real job that I could get was at LaGuardia Airport. It was a quasi-government job. Now, if you go to LaGuardia Airport today, Go down into the maintenance department of the LaGuardia Airport. There's a picture on the wall in the maintenance department. It's a picture of me. Why? My job was cleaning bathrooms, toilets, and urinals. I was the best bathroom cleaner in the history of LaGuardia Airport. I won every award that you could possibly get for maintenance. I was whistling while I was doing my work. What does that mean, Dr. Fraser? It means it's not how you start, it's how you finish. How you do anything is how you do everything. Dr. King said the same thing. Whatever you do, I'm paraphrasing, do it the very best that it can be done. And that will reflect on your attitude and your ethic going forward. Now let me get real with you. A house divided among itself cannot stand. That's number one. Number two, old keys cannot open new doors. You stew on that for a minute. In fact, if there are any pastors in the audience, I want to suggest to you that you build a sermon around that one sentence. Old keys cannot open new doors. So let me make it plain. In case no one has told you, I'm going to tell you. Ain't nobody saving black people but black people. It's been 400 years, brothers and sisters, and we ain't saved. Who in the hell are we waiting for? We're waiting for us. That's who we are waiting for. This will require understanding the power of the human connection. And that's the centerpiece of my talk to you this morning. My favorite quote of all time was in 1962. I was running the streets of New York as a kid. I was 17 years old. I happened to be in Harlem at the time, right on 125th Street, right down from the Apollo. There was a young brother, in a sense, standing on a soapbox. He was at the right hand of Dr. King. You may know who this brother is, maybe you don't. His name at that time was Stokely Carmichael, who later changed his name to Kwame Ture. And Stokely Carmichael said something so deep and so profound, and he planted a seed in my brain that became the North Star of my entire life. I'm going to quote to you what Stokely Carmichael said on that day in New York. He said that no black person in this country makes an advancement solely based on his or her talent or worth. All individual advancement is based on mass struggle. We make no progress in this world without shedding our blood. Therefore, your advancement and success does not belong to you. It belongs to the people. And if you do not use your success or advancement for the benefit of your people, it is a betrayal of the people who shed their blood for you. Nobel Prize winning author Toni Morrison said it a little bit differently. She said, if you are free, you need to free somebody else. If you have some power, then your job is to empower somebody else. The great African-centered scholar from Harlem, Dr. John Henry Clark, mentor to Malcolm X, said it a little bit differently. He said, take what you do best and do it for your people. The power of the human connection. The power of the human connection. There is no success that you can attain, sustain, or maintain on your own by yourself. Genesis 1:31. And God saw everything that he made, and behold, he said it was good. There's only one time in the Bible that God was not satisfied with his own work. This is God. And it's actually Genesis 2:18. And the Lord said, it is not good for man to be alone. I will make him a helper comparable to him. He took a rib from Adam and made woman. There is a biblical declaration in the Bible on the power of the human connection. It is a direct quote from Jesus Christ. There are 800,000 words in the Bible, and only 1,200 of those words are direct quotes from Jesus Christ. John 5:30, read it yourself. John 5:30. And Jesus said, I of my own self can do nothing. Now this was Jesus, the Son of God. He couldn't get it done on his own, by himself, in a vacuum. He needed what? 12 disciples, and we know that one turned off. So again, there is no success that you can attain, sustain, or maintain on your own by yourself in a vacuum. You cannot do it. God, in his infinite wisdom and his love of connection, is very clear. He gave us two ways to ensure that his children connected. He gave us sex and money. The motivation for sex is what? Ecstasy. There is no feeling like it. But that is not the purpose of sex. The purpose of sex is what? Procreation. So that we can produce more of God's children to serve us and for us to serve. Now, money. To earn money, I said it right at the beginning of the talk, you must serve. You must build your skills, and you must serve. And the more you serve, the more people you serve, the better you serve, the more money you earn. The purpose of money is to develop your skills so that you can serve. I applaud you for being in college, which suggests a vessel for us to learn how to learn, to understand the discipline necessary in education and intellectual growth. Malcolm Gladwell, the great author, said it differently. He said the most common attribute of rich friends, of the rich are friends, contacts, and connections. Rich people have a lot of friends, a lot of relationships. The measure of your wealth, in case no one has told you, will be other people. And the human connection is what God wanted for all of his children. The measure of your wealth will be your service to other people. One human being serving another equals wealth. That's what it is. Abundance in service. Without other people to serve you and you them, you have nothing. You cannot earn. If you're only making $8 an hour, you're only worth $8 an hour. The marketplace determines how much value based on your education, your experience, and your training that you bring to the table, and it will pay you based on that work. I personally call the human connection customer service. And for me, customer service is close to worship service. We also know that many is always smarter than one. We make money by giving, not taking. We make money while giving, not taking. So my point here is give until it hurts, and then give until it feels good. Giving. Money, again, is simply a verification that value has been exchanged. Another way to look at money is when you provide a service to someone, they give you what? You call it dollars, I call it certificates of appreciation. And the better you serve, ask any good waiter. Let's just break it down right here. Any good waiter. The better the service, the bigger the tip. What does that mean? People will actually pay you extra if you treat them well. That's why we all want to be respected. We all want to be appreciated. And we pay for that. As I said earlier, money alone does not make you happy. It's how you earn it and how you share it. That's really what makes you happy. You earn it, and then you share it. Now, there's a deal with God when it comes to money. You probably are familiar with this deal. I don't know if you hold up to the deal. But the deal is this: God gives you the mind and the skills and the energy and the vision to serve. And you earn it. And the deal with God is 90-10. Whatever you earn, you keep 90%. And you give away 10%. Now, we practice this in the black church. It's called tithing. You give away 10%. And if you do not have a church family, then you find another way to reinvest 10% of what you earn into something that is important to you. That's the deal. 90-10. God prefers equity versus debt. In case God didn't tell you. The nature of all money is debt converted to equity. So you go in debt to buy a home. You pay off the home increases in value and becomes equity. You pay to go to college, and it's not cheap. You invest in your education and in your knowledge, and that investment ultimately, through work and service, becomes equity. You are leaders in your own sphere and in your own right at this moment in time. To be a leader is to understand that you have to transcend being good at just functional and analytical and problem-solving tasks. You must be able to build relationships that enable you to create a fabric of personal contacts that will provide you support, feedback, insight, resources, and information. That's called networking, brothers and sisters. Leaders understand that the alternative to effective networking is to fail. You simply cannot reach a leadership position, or you will not succeed at leadership without effective networking skills. Leaders are great networkers and can work effectively with a diverse array of people. We all must become leaders. I said this earlier, I want to repeat it. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. The fastest way to change yourself is to hang out with people who are already where you want to be. What am I saying to you, brothers and sisters? Don't spend major time with minor people. People going nowhere want you to go nowhere with them. People doing nothing want you to do nothing with them. If you want to change your life, change your damn relationships. If you are not where you want to be in life, it's because you do not have the right people in your life. That also applies to study groups. You cannot study with anybody, just anyone. You have to study with people who want to be where you want to be, and who have the same ethic as you. So study groups, work groups. As a leader, you do not build a business. You build your people. And your people build the business. This was the genius, really, Sam Walker, who I met 45 years ago when I was in leadership positions at Procter & Gamble. I had to meet some guy who was starting a small mass marketing chain here in Arkansas, and I met Sam Walker. Very humble, but an incredible human being and an incredible people person. This is what it takes. Business is about relationships. Without relationships, you have no business. Without relationships, you have no business being in business. In fact, the business you're really in is the business of building relationships. That's the business that you are in, brothers and sisters. All of us are in. I've written 7 books on this subject. I speak on this subject all over the world. I am particularly excited and interested in speaking to my own. And I've taken massive surveys over a very long period of time to ascertain what are the mistakes that brothers and sisters make when supposedly networking. I give a whole talk on this. We don't have time, but I'm just going to give you a 30,000-foot view of what I call the 7 biggest mistakes you make when networking that will ruin your reputation and destroy your business. So I'm going to start with number 7. In 40 years, I've given out probably, I don't give them out. People have asked, and I give. I don't give out my business card. You have to request my business card. So I've given 31,000 of these things out. And people used to come up to me all the time, Dr. Fraser, aren't you afraid that people are going to bug the hell out of you because they have my phone numbers and you can personally contact me? I said, no, I'm not worried at all. Well, why is that, Dr. Fraser? Because 99.91% of every black person I've ever given a business card to will never, ever, ever follow up. I'll have to work. I'm not going to hear from you. I did a big speech at the National Black Engineering Association, 5,000 students. Almost every one of them, I didn't have enough business cards, asked me for a business card. I'm connected to a lot of engineering firms, and a lot of people in HR, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, it's clear to the audience. Do you know that not one of them ever called me? I must have given out 1,000. Not one black student in engineering ever called me. We don't follow up. The fortune is the secret, but the fortune, brothers and sisters, is in the follow-up. That's where the fortune is. There are lots of reasons. I don't want to unpack all the reasons why we don't tend to follow up. Some of it is intimidation. Some of it is people don't know what to say. Some, they don't know how to engage or how to bond. Here's a little secret. When you follow up, if you follow up, don't ask the person for something. Don't say, Dr. Fraser, I have a charity that I'm starting at my college. Can you give $1,000 to the charity? That's a very bad way to follow up. The thing to do when following up is to ask enough questions so that you can find out how to serve that person. This is especially important when meeting powerful people. How can you serve them? What can you do? Where can you be to serve them? You just want to touch the hem of their heart. You want to be in their presence. You want to serve them. And then the rest will unfold. Let me see that a different way. If you want to meet important people, you have to be where important people are. Because they ain't coming to you. You got to go to them. And then find a way to serve and get that out. Do your homework. There's a story I usually tell about Colin Powell's book, Powell, Earl Gray's. Two black men that desperately wanted to meet. Ultimately, got a chance to meet them both. And found a way to add value to their life. How did I do that? I researched it. What are they doing? What projects are they doing? How can I add value? What can I do? When I got a chance to meet them. I mentioned that particular thing that they were doing. Said, can I help you with that? I have a pretty big network. And of course, the answer was always yes. And then one thing led to another. I met Earl Graves personally. He used to work with me. That's why he was 10 years ahead of me. And I really wanted to meet him. I met him in 1986. I had written Successful Under My Race, which came out in 1994. And he was doing networking events all across the country, including when he was on the list, and I lived in Cleveland. And I had a good friend who moved him. And she came to me and told me that Mr. Graves is doing a networking event. He would like to see if you would like to work on the committees in year 4. And I said, sure. I said, not only will I work on the committee, if you would like, I'd like to chair the committee. And I chaired the committee. When it came our turn for the event, it was the best participated event of all the events you gave across the United States. You rolled up in there with the governor, Governor Dick Celeste, I'll never forget. Governor was he was always dressed, always clean with a hotel shitty, right? He said, you want it? And I said, he actually took the tie and gave it. We became fast friends. Now, 8 years later, I got a chance to write a book. Successful Under My Race, the Youth Guide to Effective Networking in the African American Community. It is a modern day classic. It is required reading in 57 historically black colleges. It is a book that started the networking conversation in the black community and ultimately started the networking movement. I'm not bragging, I'm just saying. When I got the offer from HarperCollins They asked me, do you know any celebrities who could endorse the book, who would write a blurb for the book, maybe even write forms for the book? I said, yes. I called her up first. I said, Mr. Ray, I had a chance to write a book, and if the publisher sends you a draft of the book, would you review it for me? And if you like it, would you say so? He said, sure. And he did it. He called me back about 3 weeks later. He said, I read the book. He said, it's awesome. He said, it is so awesome that we're going to make this the first book excerpt in Black Enterprise Magazine. And because we're going to make it the first book excerpt in Black Enterprise Magazine, George, we're going to put you on the cover. July 1994, go on Google, look at the cover of Black Enterprise Magazine. It is me, by myself, and my book. Now, I did not have this in mind when I wanted to meet Earl Grace. I just wanted to bond with them and serve them. I remained in contact with them. I didn't love the hell out of them, except for this one time. Follow up. Follow up. Follow up. Follow up. What's the sixth biggest mistake that we make? We make the poor first impression, and it begins with our self-introduction. How we introduce ourselves in large groups. Because people are not interested in your life story. There are lots of people, they're meeting lots of people. So you have about 15 to 20 seconds to keep their attention. So you have to craft an introduction that covers your life in about 17 to 20 seconds. There are 5 elements to a great introduction. Who you are, where you're from, and what you do. Who you are, where you're from, and what you do. The fourth and fifth elements are the most important. How do you add real value? And if you add real value, quantify it and prove it to me. All of that in 20 seconds. So here's my normal self-introduction. Hi, I'm Dr. George Fraser from Cleveland, Ohio, by way of Brooklyn, New York. I'm the CEO and founder of Fraser Incorporated. I write books on economic development and building effective relationships. I help people turn acquaintances into friends and contacts into contracts. Over the last 20 years, I've helped over 5,000 people secure over $5 billion in new business. Good to meet you. Now, if that does not pique their interest, we finish our conversation, and I'm on to the next person. If it does pique their interest, they do what? They request your card. And that's what I do. Your card is valid. Think about your self-introduction, even as a college student. How do you add real value? And we'll continue to add real value. Personal introduction. Very, very, very important. This sets the tone. It is the first impression. Don't take all day. 20 seconds. The one that I just quoted to you is 72 words. It takes actually 18 seconds to say. People are dialed into one radio station, WIIFM, what's in it for me? That's all they're listening for. To help them understand what's in it for them, while connecting with you. The fifth biggest mistake is that most of us do not spend enough time working on cultivating, nurturing, and building relationships at work, at home, and in the community. White folk spend an average of 40% of their time cultivating, nurturing, and building relationships. We had Nielsen do a national study targeted to our people. One of the questions is how much time do you spend each week working on cultivating, nurturing, and building a relationship? For us, at the time that we did the study, it was less than 15%. We need 3 kinds of networks throughout your entire life. And you have to work on these networks every minute of every day, every passage of your life. And if you're lucky, you'll get 8 passages. Each passage is 7 years. You're a different person at 10 than you were at 1. You're a different person at 20 than you were at 10. Let us pray. You're a different person at 30 than 20, and right on up the line. So you need a personal network. These are your close circle of friends. These are the people that know you, love you, respect you, lift you up, and cheer you on. Let's call that your network at home. Then you need what I call an operational network. These are the people that help you to get specific tasks done in life. You're serving them, they are serving you. And by the way, these people platoon in and out of your life. They are not with you always. There's a specific task, they're part of the team. You work together and you get this task done. That's an operational network. There's only 2 people at 77 years old that are still in my life from the age 1. And that would be my sister, who is 70, will be 79 tomorrow. And a friend that I grew up with. I grew up with and has grown and has moved to Cleveland. And we've grown together. Out of literally thousands that have been with me from 0 to now. That's your operational network, and the final network is your strategic network. These are the people who are smart. These are the people who will drag you into the 21st century kicking, screaming, and crying. These are the people who are where you want to be. These are the people that reach down and lift up and reach back and pull forward. Personal, operational, and strategic. Those are the 3 networks, and you work on them through every passage of life. You should be spending at least 30% of your time cultivating, nurturing, and building relationships at work, at home, and in the community. More if you can see fit. The other biggest mistake is that we have no networking system. Most of us do not have a system. I say this all the time to brothers and sisters. If you don't have a system, you don't have a business. I don't know what the hell you have, but it ain't a business. What is your networking system? There are 5 things that I do every single day, 365 days a year, and have been doing these things for years. This is my system. You can copy my system. Every single day, I make 5 notes, a minimum. It's very easy now with social media. 5 notes a day to people in my network. How you doing? How are the kids? How's mom and them? How's your wife? Whatever you want to say, it does not have to be wrong. A minimum of 5 notes a day to people. The second thing I do is I make 5 phone calls a day to old friends and family. We have to be very, very careful with that because those conversations can go on for a long time. So you have to frame them in a way that you can cut it short. Hi Shirley, how you doing, dear? I'm about to get on a plane. I'm on my way to Arkansas. I was just thinking about you. Right? Now she knows that we don't have a lot of time. I'm just it's a little bit of a white lie, but you got to manage that. You spend half a day talking to old friends and family. Right? This is a lot to catch up on. The third thing I do every single day is I make 5 personal contacts every day to new friends. I get cards, place that I go, and I follow up. These are minimum numbers. Some I do 20, some I do 10, some I do maybe 3. The fourth thing I do is I make 5 sales calls every single day to people that I have sold things to, but I'm not selling them. I'm just checking on them. How you doing? How's business? Is there anything I can do to help? I may give them a precious piece of information. Right? So these are sales calls. So people I sold stuff to, but I'm not trying to sell them. I'm just trying to give something. And the fifth thing I do is, this is very, very, very important. This may be the most important single thing I do every day. I make 5 introductions to people who need to know each other. Do that for 20 years and see the end result of that. People who need to know each other. So those are the 5 things. That's the system that, in fact, that I have. The question I'm asking you is, what is your system? Copy this system if you don't have a system. The third thing, and the mistake that he makes, is you bring nothing to the table. You're not engaged in lifelong learning. You're not a subject matter expert. Right? You're not engaged in constant, never-ending improvement, and you are average. We have a new thing that we'll be talking about at the Power Network and Conference Office, set to be in Houston, Texas, on 22nd Annual Conference. And it's called Black Excellence 2.0. Black Excellence 2.0. What does that mean, Dr. Fraser? It means that the expectation of you, especially as a black person in a racist country, the expectation of you is to come to the table with excellence. That's the base. That's the base. Excellence is the base. The goal is exceptionalism. And by the way, once you become exceptional at whatever it is that you're doing, you will never have to make a worry about a living in your entire life. People will hunt you down when you are exceptional at what you do. So the base is not good. The base certainly is not average. The base for us is excellence. The goal is exceptionalism. Now this is just a rework of what our parents taught us back in the day. What did my foster mother tell me all the time, Georgia boys, you're going to have to be twice as good to get half as much, because if you're black and mediocre in America, you better leave. Because you're going to be marginalized and you're ultimately going to be destroyed in this country. So again, kudos to you. Kudos. Going to college, working on your personal excellence is critically important. Bring something to the table. Now, number 1 and 2. At some point in time in life, you're going to learn that your EQ, your emotional intelligence, will be more important than your IQ. Your ability to control your core emotions, happiness, sadness, anger, fear, and shame. To control them. Remember one of the things I said earlier in terms of a real thing that you need is to control your emotions. Think positive. Find something good in everything. Don't blurt out something without thinking about it. That's emotional intelligence. That's more important than IQ. You've read many stories about people who never graduated from college and are legends. Not only are they creative and inventive, really a natural gift that God has given black people, but they have a very high emotional intelligence. Their ability to cultivate, nurture, and to build relationships and work at home in the community is superior. They know what to say, how to say it, and when to say it. It's the control of their emotions. And finally, what is the biggest mistake? Number one. That was number two. Most people network to get something. Wrong. You network to give. And as you give, you get. You ain't giving nothing. You ain't getting nothing. You cannot take out of life that which you have not put into life. Networking fundamentally is about giving. Now, will there be obstacles? Oh, hell yeah. Absolutely. My favorite quote outside of the Bible is a quote by Marcus Aurelius. Marcus Aurelius was one of the founders of the Stoicism philosophy. And it was Marcus Aurelius who said in 500 BC, he said that the impediment to action advances the action. What stands in your way becomes the way. The impediment to action advances the action. What stands in your way becomes the way. Let me say that a little bit differently. The obstacle is the way. Where there is no obstacle, there is no way. What is the first thing God does when He gives you an assignment that He feels that you are prepared for? He puts an obstacle in your way. And your job is to find a way over, around, through, and under the obstacle to extract the lessons from those obstacles. And if you extract the lessons and then use those lessons, you rise to a higher level and you get another assignment from God. And what is the next thing God does when He gives you your second assignment? There you go. He puts an obstacle in your way. And when you look back over your entire life, it is successfully overcoming obstacles. That is how God has designed the system. There is no way around it. You'll either succumb to the obstacles or you will overcome those obstacles. The great James Baldwin said it differently. He said, we are born, we suffer, and then we die. And what did he mean by that? This is James Baldwin. I grew up on James Baldwin. I've absorbed everything he's ever written. It means that between birth and death, there are obstacles. It is how we manage those obstacles that will determine the meaning of our life, or the meaning of the dash between the year we were born and the year we died. So yes, you will suffer. You will have to overcome obstacles. What's the difference between school and life? School teaches you the lessons and then gives you a test, right? Life is different. Life gives you the test and then you learn the lesson. That's how it works. That's how it works, brothers and sisters. It's no more complicated than that. That's what it is. Get used to it. I eat obstacles as vitamins. I do. They encourage me. Oh, there's something in my way. Oh, yeah, that's good. Okay, I'm going to have to learn something. But then I kick the obstacle in its ass. And I move on. And so must you. Obstacles are important. Finally, here's some information that might change your life. 3 years ago, the New England Journal of Medicine, the first medical journal in the United States, one of the most prestigious and respected journals in the world, came out with a longitudinal study, massive study, tens of thousands of people in the study, on the 3 most productive periods of your life. The number 3 most productive period of your life is between 50 and 60, according to the study. The number 2 most productive period of your life is between 70 and 80. And the number 1 most productive period of your life is between 60 and 70. The average Nobel Prize winner is 62 years old. The average age of the CEO of a Fortune 500 company is 63 years old. The average age of pastors of the 100 largest churches in America is 71 years old. Moses was 80 when he got his assignment from God. The average age of a pope is 76 years old. Mandela became president of South Africa at 76. Gandhi secured India's independence at 61. Ray Kroc founded McDonald's at close to 60 years old. Toni Morrison, Pulitzer Prize winning Beloved, she got that at 57. And she got the Nobel Prize at 62. Frank Lloyd Wright, the great architect, completed his magnum opus, the Guggenheim Museum on 54th Street and 5th Avenue. I watched it being built when I was growing up as a child. He finished his magnum opus at 91. What does this tell us? It tells us that somehow God has designed all of us that the best years of our lives are between 50 and 80. So between 0 and 49, you ain't done shit. You just practicing. You're just learning. You're overcoming the obstacles in preparation for your best work. Between 50 and 80 years old. I close with this thought. You can ask questions. I think we have time. Brothers and sisters, life is hard. If it was easy, why would God need you? It's supposed to be. This is how we learn. Marriage is hard. Divorce is hard. Choose your heart. Obesity is hard. Being fit is hard. Choose your heart. Being in debt is hard. Being financially disciplined is hard. Choose your heart. Communication is hard. Not communicating is hard. Choose your heart. Life will never be easy. It will always be hard. But we can choose our heart. Pick wise.
Amen.
That's my story. And I'm sticking to it. Questions, and don't be shy.
Someone is trying to
Closer. It's better. He has a mic.
Yeah, she's going to direct the question.
Okay. After the questions, we'll close with a very simple prayer, okay? How much time do we have? And by the way,
yes,
It is this sister who is responsible for me being here on a number of occasions. I praise you, I love you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Tyron Haney. I'm a class graduate of UAPB 2004, business manager. My question to you is, when did you feel like your career took off?
That's a great question. You know what? In all, I've 10.5 million frequent flyer miles. I've spoken over 30,000 times around the world. No one has ever asked me that question. It's great. Did someone give you that question? No, I'm just kidding. So I mean, I have to think about that. I mean, that's a deep question. I had the misfortune, my biological parents, my mom, became mentally ill. She was institutionalized for the rest of her life. My father was from Guyana. And he was a New York City care problem. And he couldn't take care of 11 children, there were 11 of us. So we were put into foster care. So if you really want to look at the base of that answer, it actually started when I was in foster care. Because the foster parents I had, Francis and Uriah Morse, M-O-R-S-E, were disciplinaries. They were from the South. They were hardcore disciplinarians. Especially, they had a son. They were gentle with him, but they were very, very hard on us. And I used to think, because I was a kid and not mature. I was in orphanages from 2 to 5 and then into foster care, and aged out of foster care. I used to think to myself, I hate these people. They would work us to death. They were skinflints. They managed their money. My mother sent me to the bank to make deposits into the Christmas club, and they were very disciplined about their money, and they were about work. And they said, Georgie boy, you and Emma and Joseph, you're here to work. And we're going to put you to work. Your job, George, is to clean my Oldsmobile. I want it spit shine. I want you to clean your room and make up your bed every single morning. We want the floors to be spotless. Emma, you got to clean the kitchen every single day. And we went through this for 13, 14 years. And that set the tone. In fact, I spoke to her earlier. And really, really, really. And my sister and I, who I love, we have had hours of conversation about divorces and what they did for us. Because my sister, PhD from Harvard, right, with a high school diploma, right, initially. She got a high school diploma in beauty care. I got one in college. And she went on ultimately 5 degrees and then graduated with a PhD from Harvard. But we've always now, when we're mature and we're in our right mind, where did we get this work ethic from? Where did we get this discipline from? So we could not, back in the day, you know, the kids used to play on the streets, used to go out and play. Right? No, we could not go out and play until our chores were done and inspected and they were perfect. So discipline, work ethic, right? Mitigating our anger. Because as a kid, you're angry. You want to be out with your friends, right? No. So that, I mean, thank you for that question. That was really where it all started. The personal discipline. Now, my foster father was also a cab driver. But back in the day, he was a really OG. We were talking about this at the table. He was always dressed perfectly. He dressed for church. If we went downtown to do shopping,
right? We were all dressed. And he wore quality clothes, bought them once. That's why I learned that. He said, I'm going to steal your quote, you're too poor to buy anything twice. So, buy it one time, but make sure that it's quality. Right? We were kidding at the table. These are Ferragamo's. Right? I bought these 40 years ago. 40 years ago. I bought them one time. They're classic in design, so even 40 years later, right? They said, when you buy your clothes, don't buy anything hyper stylish, right? Because it's going to go out of style. Buy classic design. The suit that I'm wearing, it's a Ralph Lauren purple label, cost $4,000, but I bought it 20 years ago. Right, 20 years ago. So those little things, I don't want to bore you with the gory details, those little things set the tone for the rest of my life. And as I said earlier to you, how you do anything is how you do everything. And this is why I love talking to young people, especially college students. Because all we're doing, all the elders are doing, all we're doing are planting seeds. That's all we're doing. That's all we can hope to do is to plant some seeds, some thoughts, give you something to hang on to. Right? And then what I want to be is not only say it to you, but I want to be a model for it. You see, we must model the behavior that we expect from our children and our people. It's one thing to run your damn mouth all day long. It's another thing to do it. As I like to say, you can live a better sermon than you can preach. Okay? Great question.
How you doing? My name is Jerry Sands III. I'm major in industrial technology management and applied engineering. And my question to you is, how would you recommend becoming like more active or a better listener and a more effective communicator?
Hopefully all of you are taking communication classes as part of your studies. You should be taking writing classes, and you should be taking effective communication classes. I know they give them in college, but a lot of us just sort of gloss over that stuff because we think we got it like that, but we don't. Language is extraordinarily powerful. You cannot lead without being an effective communicator. And again, that is speaking and writing. This is how you communicate your thoughts, your ideas, your creativity to other people. So take the classes. I have to be transparent. I was not a great student in my vocational high school because I didn't want to become a carpenter. What I was very good at, and I aced every time, was English and history. I loved history, and I loved especially our history because we really weren't learning anything about ourselves. And I particularly loved our ancient history, not our modern history. I mean, our modern history is quite catastrophic. Ancient history, so that I would ultimately know who I am. A tree without roots will die. We don't know who we are. We are the children of the slaves that would not die. That we have the genetic encoding of the great kings and queens of Africa that were building pyramids and solving complex engineering problems when other cultures were living in caves practicing cannibalism. And in spite of the fact that America kept its foot on our throne for 350 years, slavery and Jim Crow, we overcame that and we rose like the phoenix. So if everything happens for a reason, it serves us in some special way, and you will never understand those reasons looking forward. You will only understand them looking backwards. That is the meaning of the universal African symbol Sankofa. In order to go forward, one must look backwards. That is a bird flying forward while looking backwards. You see the Sankofa symbol. Right? So I was always interested in history. That gave me the esteem that I needed. So if everything happens for a reason and serves us in some special way, sure, we will never understand that reason looking forward. We will only understand it looking backwards. And here's a deeper thought for you. When you think about it, maybe African people were not brought here. Maybe we were sent here. Do you believe that God would put his first people, Africans were first, Ethiopia, 75,000 years ago, human remains, humans as we know them, were found in the Olduvai Gorge in Ethiopia. If you're hanging out in Ethiopia in Africa during one time, you're really black. Okay? So how could a people who could morally, spiritually, and biblically justify the kidnapping, raping, and pillaging of another two people, natives already in America and Africans brought to America, have any moral or spiritual grounding? And perhaps had God not sent African people here, America might have self-destructed by now. We are the most morally grounded and spiritually rooted people on the planet. We are God's first people. I have a lot of Jewish friends. I live in Cleveland, 9th largest Jewish population in America. I play golf with them. Every now and then I'll go to the synagogue just to see what they're saying and what's going on. And my Jewish friends always tease me. He said, you know, George, Jews are the chosen ones. I said, that's good, Bill. But we are the first ones. Therefore, you are of our loins. Had we not existed, you would have never existed. Right? So, we are an awesome and powerful people. We are the creative force on this planet. And we need to act like it. But first, you have to understand it. That's a part of effective communication. Because when you understand that, you have the prestige and the esteem within, not the outwards, and the confidence to stand your ground, to be all that you can be, which is freaking amazing. That's what you can be. And we see examples of that all of the time. So these are not one-offs. Now, we happen to excel in sports and entertainment. Why? Because wherever the playing field is level and the rules are clear, not only can we compete, we will dominate. Not only that, we will change the game on your ass. The rules were clear and the playing fields were level in sports and entertainment. And we dominated. Our music is global. Even hip-hop, it's global. It's a global culture. I have some issues with some hip-hop. My favorite hip-hop artist is Kendrick Lamar, the only hip-hop artist to win the Pulitzer Prize. There's only one other musician who won the Pulitzer Prize for his lyrics, and that's Bob Dylan. Kendrick Lamar. I don't know what you think about Kendrick Lamar, but listen to that. It's a long answer to your question, but it's a great question.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Franklin Stanislaus. I'm a graduate student at the University of Cambridge, majoring in computer science. And my question to you is, how do quantify my value as a college student with very little experience?
Yeah. Well, you quantify your value by the number of hours of education that you put in from zero now through whatever stage you are in college, right? and quantify your value regarding the value of that knowledge and what you can bring it to the workplace. Right? That's how you quantify it. Now, we must begin to think more entrepreneurial. It is my hope that by the end of the 21st century that black people will become the #1 employer of black people. Jews are the #1 employer of Jews, Asians are the #1 employer of Asians, East Indians are the #1 employer of East Indians, Arabs are the #1 employer of Arabs. So we too must engage entrepreneurially and create more work and jobs for our people. Why? Because that's the only way to raise up the poor, is to create work and then teach, to give them opportunity. All right? There's another dimension to that, which I don't have the time to get into as a whole talk. But don't graduate from college, generally speaking, and start a business. Now, you can start a little business out there in college, but in the real world, learn on somebody else's dime. That's what I did. Right? Procter & Gamble, United Way, leadership positions at Ford Motor Company. And I didn't have a college degree, but I was very good with words, and I had very high emotional intelligence. And they hired me. I worked for P&G 13 years. I wasn't traded for anything. Do you know how much of their money I messed up with mistakes and stupid shit? Mr. Procter & Gamble, I learned on their time. They are the beasts of marketing. They invented branding. Then I wanted to learn what it's like to work in a nonprofit, so I went and became vice president of United Way. Someone actually pulled me into it. And then Ford Motor Company recruited 12 black men. This was 1985, to go through the Ford Motor Dealer Development Program. I was the first black Ford Lincoln Mercury dealer in Cleveland. It was a 2-year program. They paid us, gave us a car. I graduated #1 in the class and decided I did not want to sell cars. Nothing wrong with selling cars. I could become a millionaire selling cars. I did not want to do that. I wanted to teach our people the power of human connection and effective networking. And I started it. My wife was not happy. And she said, well, how are you going to make a living doing that? I said, I don't know yet, but I'll figure it out. And she stuck with me. So, I hope I answered your question. Hey!
Good morning.
Good morning.
I take your, and I'm a junior majoring in business management. And my
Put the
question,
mic up to you.
okay. My question is to you, who was your mentor in life and how should I go about finding one for myself?
My mentor, I talked a little bit about him. Earl Graves, Colin Powell, and a whole host of others that I selected. Now, there were people that came into my life that after a very short period of time, I had to bless them and release them. That we were just not on the same page. So sisters, let me give you some advice. Because this is going to be the most important decision you will make in your life, the most important relationship in your life. If you can't build with them, don't chill with them. It ain't supposed to be free. And you have all the power. You cannot grow with your partner. You are not of like mind. You don't want the same things. That's the most important decision you're going to make in your life. Screw that up 2 or 3 times and see what your life looks like. And brothers, or sisters, I should say to you about the brothers, the average brother does not need a taste test to distinguish between eye candy and soul food. That's the money drop right there. Don't touch it. You need to taste it. Distinguish between eye candy and soul food. Good job. Soul food. My life is soul food. And every time she corrects me, You know what goes on in my head when she's correcting me or we're discussing something? She's doing this because she loves me. It's for my betterment. That's how I process it. She loves me. She's correcting me. Finally, the thing, brothers, the thing women want most from you is not sex. I promise you. 50 years, you'll find this out. Not sex. They want to be loved. They want to be loved, and they want to hear it every damn day. So there is no phone conversation I have with Nora Jean Fraser, and it's a couple times a day at least, that I do not end the conversation with saying, I love you. 100, 200 times a year, they want to be loved. And you know what? You know what brothers want, sisters? They want respect. Because especially black men, we get so little respect in the public sphere. Outside of our room. That's what we crave most, is respect. And when we do something stupid, and we will, you correct them with respect. That's what we crave. And if we don't get the respect that I think we deserve out in the public sphere, we damn sure want it at home. That's what men want from their women. And love is what women want from their men. And a constant expression of love. And by the way, if your lady happens to have a dog, you better love the damn dog. I'm telling you, we have a dog. And when I come home, that dog is wagging his tail and I better show love. And if I don't, and every now and then I'll miss it. She said, well, you didn't pet the dog. He's greeting you. Love the dog. Dog are like children. That's a whole other subject. That's a great question.
I think we have time for 2 more questions. So, Kelley and
Yes, another question? Yes, ma'am.
Good morning. My name is Caitlin Peterson, and I'm an elementary education major here. And my question is, what obstacles did you face that later became a stepping stone for you?
What obstacles did I
What
face?
obstacle did you face that later became a stepping stone for you, like in the future?
Obstacles that became a stepping stone for
Wow. Too numerous to mention, and I'm grateful for that. As I said, every obstacle was a lesson. But the first obstacle, the biggest obstacle I had to overcome, is I had no college degree. I had high aspirations for myself. But back in the day, my parents couldn't afford to send their children to college. So we had to fend the best way that we could. I eventually went on and got executive business degrees from Dartmouth. But initially, I had no college degree. Now, back in the day, you could have a high school diploma and get work, meaningful work. That is not as much today as it was then. So a college degree is almost a prerequisite for an aspirational brother or sister. So that was the big hump. Now, what I did have, and I said it to you earlier, is I had a really good personality, or what we call people skills. I knew what to say to people, right? I had a sense of humor, and I had good language skills. Because most of these jobs that I applied for back in the day, you had to write something, and then you would interview, right? Now remember, I got a job at Procter & Gamble. They had MBAs from Harvard on the bench waiting for those jobs, right? But someone recommended me to do this interview with Procter & Gamble. I had a little business called Black Educational Development. I was selling black history materials to colleges and universities. This is way back in the 70s. And I was doing very, very, very well. No one else was doing it but me. I got the license to sell the International Library of Negro Life and History, 10 volumes set. And I was selling them. I had a little crew. We did well. And so I went to interview him. I told him, I said, man, I don't have a college degree in PhD. You gotta have a college degree to get in there. He said, well, he said, yeah, but you know, I think you have the kind of personality they might be interested in. This was the early days of diversity, equity, and inclusion. PNG was one of the first to focus on that. And they were looking for black men. And so I went and interviewed, and 11 interviews later, took an exam, went through 11 interviews, because again, I had no college degree. They hired me. Right? So I was the Negro who sat by the door. What am I most proud of my PNG, 13 years of PNG? Not all the awards that I won. I won all the damn awards. I was determined to be the best that they gave me to do. Because they always had annual meetings and they give out all the awards. I'm not proud of that. I'm most proud because when you become a leader at PNG, you're given recruitment responsibility. So I had to go out and recruit. I had 4 colleges. I had 4 white colleges. Initially, I asked them to change it to historically black colleges, so they gave me Morehouse, Spelman, FAMU, and Tennessee State University were open. I'm most proud of the 67 brothers and sisters I got into Proctor & Gamble with my career. Did I answer your question? All right, so, yes, one more question, and then I'm going to do a quick 2-minute sales pitch on something. I got a book and in a conference. Okay.
Good morning. My name is Dylan Banks. I am a freshman majoring in psychology. And my question for you today is, what strategies have had the biggest impact on your success?
What has had the biggest impact on my success?
What strategies have had the biggest impact on your success?
I talked about. In the broader term, I understood the power of people and the power of connection. I understood that. Right? And then, because I understood it didn't mean I knew how to do it. So I got lessons. How do you connect with people? How do you talk to people? What do you say? Because I was actually, I was very shy. I was very introvert. Right? So I had to learn how to come out of that shell and really how to engage people and how to keep their interest in me. That was the biggest impact, because essentially every single thing I did or have achieved has been through connection, including my days spit shining urinals and toilets. You know, I'm in a bathroom. I work the midnight shift, 12 to 8 in LaGuardia. So I'm in one of my bathrooms, and I'm whistling, and I'm doing, the place is spotless, and a white guy walks in. He goes to the bathroom. And he hears me. And he said, wow, I've never seen a bathroom this clean, and I've never seen a maintenance person that does bathrooms, you know, whistle and seems to be happy doing what they're doing. I said, well, I enjoy it. I get a lot of satisfaction. I've won some awards. It's nice. He said, would you be interested in doing anything else? I said, yeah. Well, what did you have? He said, well, I am the vice president of the Encyclopedia Britannica. He said, have you ever heard of Encyclopedia? I said, yeah. He said, would you like to sell Encyclopedia Britannica? I said, well, I've never sold encyclopedias. So I said, well, we'll teach you. I said, yes. He said, listen, I don't live in New York. He was in Chicago. But if you give me some information, I'll get in touch with you. This is before social media. This is before the internet and all that kind of stuff. I just wrote down my phone number, which is actually my parents' phone number. And he got in touch with me. He gave me a job as a salesman for Encyclopedia Britannica alongside of a person you may know, you may not know. Maynard Jackson. How many of you know who Maynard Jackson is? The first black mayor of Atlanta. The airport is named after Maynard Jackson. And he was awesome. And I became a top salesman. And eventually that led, because of the connection through that, led to another opportunity. And then eventually I sold, what did I tell you earlier? I sold my own encyclopedias, but they were Black history encyclopedias. That's where I learned how to sell encyclopedias. To make a small fortune, and then went to Procter & Gamble. And then the rest is history. So, the power of the human connection. Be at your best publicly, because you just never know who's in the room. You never know who you're talking to. And the right attitude, the positive mental attitude, is tried saying, but it's extraordinarily true. Okay? Now, I'm going to close with a prayer, very short, very simple. I brought a few copies of my latest book on networking called Click, 10 Truths for Building Extraordinary Relationships. Right? It is a modern day classic. It is required reading in many, many colleges. This is networking 2.0. Because you don't click with everybody that you network with. So, the book is free, but my signature is $30. We gave me the book without my signature, so I have a few copies. I'm more than happy to autograph them. Finally, this is our 22nd year putting on the Power Networking Conference. It's in Houston, August the 2nd through the 5th. Every major speaker and leader in Black America has spoken at this conference. Last year, we had Boyce Watkins. How many of you know who Boyce Watkins is? Okay. No, a few. All right, so, what I'd like to do is make an offer. If you look on the back of the form, one adult registration is $1,500. We sell out every year. In fact, we're almost sold out. And it's not until August. One student registration is $800. So, we encourage students to come. So what I want to do is, if you look at an adult registration and a student registration, that's $2,300. We encourage all of our adults to bring a young person 17 to 25, college age. And all of our students have to be with either a parent, a mentor, or a coach. We don't have groups of students marauding around our conference. They're there to learn and to sit at the feet of masters and to meet them, because they stay, they come, they speak, and they stay. So, we'll take this $2,300 package, and we'll reduce it to $599, $1,700 off. That includes one adult and one young person. That's a $1,700 discount. It's good for the, let's say, 10 people, because that's considerably less than it costs us to bring you there and to put on the 4 days of conference. So, if you're interested in that, you have to fill out this form, put your credit card in, and go to the conference. It will change your life. You'll never be around so many of the baddest brothers and sisters on the freaking planet than you will be at the Power Networking Conference. What did I say to you earlier? If you want to meet important people, you have to be where important people are. Because they ain't coming to you. You have to go to them. All right, learn at their feet, engage them. All right, your life will change. It's a life-changing experience. So, let's close with prayer. I'll be over in the corner, which is the story of my life. This is the prayer that we close the Power Networking Conference. Every year, we have a big party called the Wakanda Party. It's Wakanda 4 now. Everybody dresses up in African attire. We party all night until midnight. And then we close with one piece of music where we all sing it together. A classic by Bill Withers. Lean on me. Now you should know the words to that song. Lean on me. We close with that piece of music. And then we close with this prayer. May we always remember those who have gone before us. May we be inspired by their vision and their valor. May their lives continually remind us that service is more important than success, that people are more important than possessions, that principle is more important than power. May whatever we do be shaped and molded by honesty, excellence, and commitment. May our children and our children's children carry forth with pride the nobility of the histories that are represented in this room. To the Creator of all of us, by whatever name we may refer to that Creator, we dedicate our lives to make our world better and more beautiful. Can I get an amen? Thank you very much.